This word of Adonai came to me. You are not to marry or have sons and daughters in this place. But this is what Adonai says concerning the sons and daughters born here, as well as their mothers who gave birth to them and their fathers who conceived them in this land. They will die terrible deaths without being mourned or buried. They will be left on the ground like dung. They will die by the sword and by famine, and their corpses will be food for the birds in the air and the wild animals. For here is what Adonai says: do not enter any house where there is mourning. Don't lament them, and don't grieve for them. For they removed my shalom from this people, as well as my grace and compassion, says Adonai. Great and small alike will die in this land. They will not be buried. People will not lament them, nor will they cut the flesh or shave their heads for them. No one will prepare a meal for those in mourning to comfort them for the dead, and no one will give them a cup of drink to console them for their father or mother. You are not to go into any house where there is celebrating, to sit with them, eating and drinking. For here is what Adonai Sabaoth, the God of Israel, says: in this place, while you are still alive, before your very eyes, you will put an end to the sounds of joy and gladness, to the voices of bridegroom and bride. When you tell this people all that I have said, and they ask you, why has Adonai decreed all this terrible disaster against us? What is our iniquity? What is our sin? We have committed against Adonai our God. Then you are to say to them, it is because your ancestors abandoned me, says Adonai, and went after other gods, serving and worshiping them, but abandoning me, and did not keep my Torah. And you have done worse than your ancestors, for look, each of you lives according to the stubbornness of his own evil heart, so that you don't listen to me. Therefore I am thrusting you out of this land into a land you do not know, neither you nor your ancestors, and there you will serve other gods day and night, for I will show you no favor. Therefore, says Adonai, the day will come when people will no longer swear as Adonai lives, who brought the people out of Israel in the land of Egypt, but as Adonai lives, who brought the people of Israel out of the land of the north and out of the countries where he drove them, for I will bring them back to their own land, which I gave to their ancestors. Look, says Adonai, I will send for many fishermen, and they will fish for them. Afterwards I will send for many hunters, and they will hunt for them every mountain and hill and every out of caves of the rocks. For I see all their ways, they are not hidden from me. Their crimes are not concealed from my eyes. First, I will pay them back double for their crimes and sins, because they have defiled the land which is mine. They have filled my heritage with the corpses of their horrible abominations. Adonai, my strength, my fortress, my refuge in time of trouble, the nations will come to you from the ends of the earth, saying, our ancestors inherited nothing but lies, futile idols, completely useless. Can a person make himself God? In fact, there aren't gods at all. Therefore I will make them know once and for all. I will make them know my power and my might. They will know that my name is Adonai. Yehuda's sin is written with an iron pen, with a diamond point. It is engraved on the tablet of their hearts and on the horns of your altars. As they remember their children, so they remember their altars and their sacred poles by the green trees and the high hills, my mountain in the field. Your wealth and all your treasures will be plundered because of the sin of your high places throughout your territory. You will relinquish your hold on your heritage which I gave you. I will make you serve your enemies in the land you do not know. For you have kindled my fiery anger, and it will burn forever. Here is what Adonai says: a curse on the person who trusts in humans, who relies on merely human strength, whose heart turns away from Adonai. He will be like a teramisk in the Arava. When relief comes, it is unaffected, for it lives in the sun-baked desert. It's in salty, uninhabited land. Blessed is the man whose trust in Adonai. Adonai will be his security. He will be like a tree planted near water. It spreads out its roots by the river. It does not notice when the heat comes, and its foliage is luxuriant. and it is not anxious in a year of drought, but keeps on yielding fruit. The heart is more deceitful than anything else and more mortally sick. Who can fathom it? I, Adonai, search the heart. I test inner motivations in order to give to everyone what his actions and conduct deserve. A partridge hatches eggs it did not lay. Like this are those who get rich unjustly. In the prime of life, their wealth will desert them. In the end, they will prove to be fools. Throne of glory, exalted from the beginning, our holy sanctuary, hope of Israel, Adonai, all who abandon you will be ashamed. Those who leave you will be inscribed in the dust because they have abandoned Adonai, the source of living water. Heal me, Adonai, and I will be healed. Save me, and I will be saved, for you are my praise. They keep asking me, where is the word of Adonai? Let it come now. As for me, I did not run away from being a shepherd who follows you. You know I didn't want this fatal day. What came from my lips has been clear to you. Do not be my ruin. You, my refuge on the day of disaster. Let my persecutors be ashamed, not me. Let them be terrified, not me. Bring on them the day of disaster. Destroy them with double destruction. Then Adonai said this to me. Go, stand at the people's gate, where the kings of Yehuda go in and out, and at all the gates of Jerusalem, and say to them, Kings of Yehuda, all Yehuda and all living in Jerusalem, who enter through these gates, hear the word of Adonai. Here is what Adonai says. If you value your lives, don't carry anything on Shabbat or bring it through the gates of Jerusalem. Don't carry anything out of your house on Shabbat, and don't do any work. Instead, make Shabbat a holy day. And I ordered your ancestors to do this, but they neither listen nor pay attention. Rather, they stiffen their necks, so that they wouldn't have to hear or receive instruction. However, if you will pay careful heed to me, says Adonai, and carry nothing through the gates of the city on Shabbat, but instead make Shabbat a day which is holy, and not for doing work, then kings and princes occupying the throne of David will enter through the gates of the city riding on chariots and horses. They, their princes, the people of Yehuda, and the inhabitants of Jerusalem will enter, and this city will be inhabited forever. They will come from the cities of Yehuda, from the places surrounding Jerusalem, from the land of Benjamin, from Shvilah, from the hills of the Negev, bringing burnt offerings, sacrifices, grain offering, frankincense, and thanksgiving sacrifices to the house of Adonai. But if you do not obey me and make Shabbat a holy day and not carry loads through the gates of Jerusalem on Shabbat, then I will set its gates on fire, and I will burn up the places of Jerusalem and not be quenched. This is the word of Yirmiyahu from Adonai. Get up and go down to the potter's house. There I will tell you more. So I went down to the house of the potter. There he was, working at the wheels. Whenever a pot was made, it came out imperfect. The potter took the clay and made another pot with it, in whatever shape suited him. Then the word of Adonai came to me, house of Israel. Can I deal with you as the potter deals with his clay? Says Adonai. Look, you, house of Israel, the same in my hand as the clay in the potter's hand. At one time I may speak about uprooting, breaking down, and destroying a nation or kingdom. But if that nation turns from their evil, which prompted me to speak against it, then I relent concerning the disaster I had planned to inflict on it. Similarly, at another time I may speak about building and planting a nation or kingdom. But if it behaves wickedly from my perspective and doesn't listen to what I say, then I change my mind and don't do the good that I had said I would do that would have helped it. So now, tell the people of Yehuda and those living in Jerusalem that this is what Adonai says. I am designing disaster for you, working out my plan against you. Turn each of you from his evil ways. Improve your conduct and actions. They will answer, it's hopeless. We will stick to our own plans. Each of us will stubbornly follow his own evil desires. Therefore Adonai says this, ask among the nations, who has heard anything like this? The virgin Israel has done a most horrible thing. Does the snow of Lebanon disappear from the mountain crags? Does the cold waters of foreign lands ever run dry? No, but my people has forgotten me and offered incense to nothings. This causes them to stumble. They walk the ancient paths. They lead the highways to walk on the side trails. Thus, they make their lands an object of horror and ongoing ridicule. Passerbys shake their heads, appalled everyone. Like a strong east wind, I will scatter them before the enemy. I will set their back, not their face, on their day of disaster. Then they said this: let's develop a plan for dealing with Yirmiyahu. Torah won't be lost from the Kohanim, or counsel from the wise, or words from the prophets. So come, let's destroy him with slander. And meanwhile, we won't pay attention to anything he says. Pay attention to me, Adonai. Listen to what my opponents are saying. Is good to be repaid with evil? For they have dug a pit to trap me. Remember how I stood before you and spoke well of them, in order to turn your anger away from them. Therefore, hand their sons over to famine, hurl them into the power of the sword. Let their wives be made childless and widows. Let their husbands be slain by disease. Let their young men be slain by the sword in battle. Let screams be heard from their houses. When you bring raiders on them without warning, for they have dug a pit to catch me, and have laid snares for my feet. Nevertheless, Adonai, you know all their plans against me to stop me. Do not forgive their crime. Do not blot out their sin from your sight, but let them be made to stumble before you. Deal with them when you are angry.